Hello and welcome to The Beat, a news and talk program brought to you by the Center for Community Media at Worcester State University. On this episode, we have Laxmi Bissoondial, the Director of the Office of Multicultural Affairs. And as I mentioned in the opener, we're here with Laxmi Bissoondial, the Director of the Office of Multicultural Affairs here at Worcester State University. Laxmi, thank you so much for being on the show. How are you today?
I'm great. Thank you so much for having me. This is a pleasure and a treat for us.
Of course, absolutely. So, for anybody who doesn't know, could you explain to us what the Office of Multicultural Affairs does?
Absolutely. So the Office of Multicultural Affairs is dedicated and promoting access for students who are from underrepresented backgrounds. And so it is access, retention, and graduation is the name of our game. And so students who may belong to that underrepresented group may be called first gens, may be from low-income backgrounds, or may be from a lot of BIPOC communities.
Absolutely, awesome. Now, I hear you are also a Worcester State alum. What brought you back to want to work on campus and work with the office here?
Oh, yeah. So being a Worcester State alum is one of my greatest pride in life. And I think the experience that Worcester State has provided me has given me the laboratory to be able to realize the information that I've learned in the classroom. And I think being an alum from the program that I now work for, the Alternatives for Individual Development, and all of the support services that the Office of Multicultural Affairs has given me has come full circle in the sense that it allows me to be able to give back to the work that was once nurturing to many students like myself and others through many of the programs, whether it be student leadership development within TWA, within the curriculum development, within the Alternatives for Individual Development, connecting curricular with co-curricular, being exposed to amazing national speakers like Cornel West, Angela Davis, Julianne Malveaux. Very, very, very important for our students to get beyond the classroom and see what the global world looks like. And that's what Worcester State did for me. So coming back and working for the same program is full circle, is giving back in a way that I could never give back in another job.
Absolutely, yeah. Now, you mentioned that there are different support services that the Office of Multicultural Affairs offers. Could you bring up what are some of these support services that they offer there?
Absolutely. So we have a number of support services in the office. One of them is called the Alternatives for Individual Development. And the AID program is a 6-week, it starts with a 6-week summer bridge program, and then it follows in with intensive academic services for students' first year academic experience on campus, and then work with them until graduation. And so what that means is that it brings in students over the summer, works with them heavily on their academic skills of transitioning from high school to their first year in college, giving them college credits so that they can assist them in working through the structures in higher education, understanding higher education language and vocabulary, and then being able to kind of in a wraparound way support them financially, academically, skills development, and supporting them until they graduate. And so the second program that we have is called the Upward Bound program. The Upward Bound program is a high school to college pipeline. And so we recruit students to be in this program. It is intensive over the academic year. We offer about 22 Saturday workshops. Students give up their Saturday mornings to come on campus. They're engaged in classes around self-awareness, problem solving, and then being able to connect the curriculum with real world events and current events. And then it's followed up by a summer experience around 5 weeks. And so exposing students to colleges, the difference between private versus public, exposing them to the next level of information that they're going to be experiencing in the public schools. And so the idea is that, for example, if a student is currently in algebra, the next layer of math, they will get an inside look at what geometry looks like if that is the math that they're going to be taking the next following year. Right. So it's an opportunity to prepare them ahead of the game. We have other programs such as young men's group, the women's circle. These are affinity groups that help to socially create a network with our students to support them and their education outside of the classroom. And many of the groups that we work with, such as TWA and Young Men's Group and the Women's Circle, they take on a student voice that we prioritize in the office by having our students dictate the programming and how they would like to see education take a front role and as part of their experience here at Worcester State.
That's amazing. And going back to when you mentioned Upward Bound, I think it's great that you have these young ones getting that college experience earlier on, and just getting them ahead of the game. I think that's great.
Yes.
And I remember I saw them over the summer because I did orientation, and getting to, I believe they were living in the college dorms as well,
Yes.
which is another big
Bonus.
thing. Absolutely, yeah. Bonus is the perfect word for it. So, yeah, awesome. Now, backtracking here a little bit, how did you get started with the Office of Multicultural Affairs? What got you in there?
That's a great question. So I will share with you that I am from Worcester, and I attended North High School. And so while I was at North, a young lady by the name of Lisa Maddox, who was the Upward Bound coordinator at the time, she came and she recruited me to be part of the Upward Bound program. So I first had my debut at Worcester State through the Upward Bound program, and naturally worked through that pipeline program to be able to access higher ed. And then I I came to Worcester State my first year through the AID program, became very much heavily involved in TWA within its leadership. And so that was my introduction to Worcester State, to a family that I really needed to be able to be part of my educational experience, which is what many of our students describe our office as.
Absolutely, yeah. It's great that you came in already in those programs as well, so you
Yes.
definitely have that background there and helping out other students. I think that's great.
Absolutely.
Now, what was it like to work with Mr. Sidney Baxton Jr.? I believe he was the founder of the
Yes.
office here. What was that like?
It is still amazing every day. So I have to say, so the Office of Multicultural Affairs is celebrating its 50th anniversary this year.
50 years, congratulations.
Yes, thank you so much. And we are so proud that the city of Worcester has acknowledged the contributions of our office to not only Worcester State University, but to the entire city of Worcester, and to the countless graduates that have gone way beyond the city of Worcester, the state of Massachusetts. And we have amazing graduates. And I have to tell you, it really all stems back from the philosophy of the office and why we came to be. And Sidney Buxton Jr., our mentor, is really had a hand in being able to create a lot of the support services that has helped many of us get through higher ed. A landscape at a time where you didn't find many of us in higher education, and you really looked to see if there were models like yourself and that this could be done. And I think working through the Office of Multicultural Affairs and the philosophy and the sense of belonging that he first created the office to be, and have a heavy emphasis on the academic sense of self, really pushed us forward to be amazing professionals and graduates. Then after, we had another amazing director who took over from him, and that was Marcella Uribe Jennings. And so she is amazing in the sense that she brought that to another level of academic development, of academic self, but then increased more so many of the different avenues that access could be at Worcester State, and then allowed many of the other students from different backgrounds to be able to see themselves here. She was a guru in financial aid, and I have to tell you, for me, having worked under both of their leadership, I have gained a tremendous amount of knowledge and experience. I remember being a young professional and going in and out of meetings with them and debriefing with them about the experience. And I think that in itself is not only what Worcester State is, its leadership, but it's the essence of what a teaching university is about. Being able to coach and encourage young professionals to be able to grow into their role. So you asked, what was it like being underneath his leadership? And I think it was a wonderful experience to be able to transform my sense of self, of not thinking that I was college bound, to now here I am sitting as the third director, that the 50-year legacy has ever had is profound.
That's amazing. I like that. And you mentioned, so you are now the third director,
Yes.
and using everything you learned from the past two, and I believe it's been about a year since you've been appointed.
Yes, I'm now about to complete my second year.
Second year. Oh,
Yeah.
Awesome! Congratulations.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. So, what's it been like to take on that role at the beginning, coming up to now? What's that been like?
Whew. It has been, in some instances, very challenging and yet very rewarding. So looking in hindsight, I have held every single role within the Office of Multicultural Affairs as the Upward Bound Coordinator, as the AID Coordinator, and now as Director. And I will tell you, though I still have a caseload where I'm working one-on-one with students, the real heart of the office are the students. And so I think to kind of have held each of those roles is to know the mechanics behind what each program is intended to do, its goals and its outcomes and objectives. I think now sitting in the leadership position, it is learning, one, to be a visionary, to be able to create strategic planning for 5 years, and to look at community partners and partners on campus that can help unfold and move that needle around graduation rates, especially for our Alana BIPOC and our first gen students.
Absolutely. Awesome. Now, keeping on that, what has been your favorite experience while working in the office? You've had tons of experience here, but if you had to pick maybe one or two, what has been the most memorable for you? What would you say?
Oh my gosh. It's so hard to pick one or two. Let's see. All right, so one experience has to do with students themselves. And so I have two colleagues who are also alums here from Worcester State, Francesca and Troy Reese-Minion. And so seeing them and experiencing college with them, and then welcoming their son, Jonah, back to campus for his first year this year, that was a wonderful experience, because to see the intergenerational success meant a great deal for our program outcomes. On another note, I think some of the conferences and some of the speakers that the office brings in is another treat, because these are national, international speakers who we have normally wouldn't have crossed paths with if we did not bring them to Worcester State. So for example, last year for Latin Heritage, the Office of Multicultural Affairs is in charge of the multicultural programming on campus. And so it centers it around many of the months, like Black History Month, like Latin Heritage, Women's History, Asian Heritage, and so forth. And so last year for Latin Heritage, we had the honor to be able to bring in the very first at Worcester State Nobel Peace Prize winner, Rigoberto Menchú. And so Guatemalan civil rights leader and women activist. It was amazing to be able to talk with her. And of course, Zoom, transforming our whole landscape, allowed us to Zoom her all the way from Guatemala to Worcester State. But it was wonderful to have her here and to have many of the departments like world languages, the provost office, to be partners in being able to unfold a program like this.
Absolutely, yeah. Now, keeping on that topic here of guest speakers, just a few weeks back, we had, you guys hosted Diane Langford James for African American Read-In Day from Breaking Cycles. What made you guys choose her? And she's also a Worcester State alumna,
Yes,
which
she
is
is.
incredible.
Yeah.
What had you guys choose her for that event?
So great question. So we, part of our Black History Month programming is to be able to celebrate the contributions of many of our African American literary giants.
Absolutely.
And so in past, we have brought giants like Robert Bullard, who is a national environmentalist, and many other speakers like Angela Davis, who has talked about her role within the civil rights of Black Panthers. And so it is wonderful to be able to have these national speakers to be able to allude to these thematic points that are happening within our world today. And then it's also wonderful for our students to be able to see a graduate of Worcester State who has experienced challenges that students are experiencing right now, and then also be a literary giant as well. And I think the image and the message that came across at her presentation in celebration of African American Reading Day and our 9th annual Alana Preview Day was profound, because I think students were just amazed at her authenticity and just her transparency about her struggles here as a student, and then also being a single mom, and then being a single grandma. And I think that spoke to many of our students' backgrounds and understanding that the world can be complex and yet you can still carve your own success. So cycle breakers.
Absolutely, yeah. Now, bringing on that, are there any other upcoming events you guys coming up for campus? What other events you guys have coming up here?
Absolutely. So we have a few events that we're doing for Black History Month, and then going to unfold for the rest of the semester around women's history and Asian heritage. So one that's happening today, February 22nd, is that we have a group of students in the office, and they have called themselves the OMA ambassadors. And the idea is to promote culture and promote knowledge around diverse topics. And so they're bringing they're showing a film screening today. It's called, I believe, Judas and the Messiah. Okay. It's a film, and they're going to be doing a debrief about it. Following up with that, we are also, for Black History Month, we are doing every Monday, starting this Monday coming on the 27th, a film screening called Blacks in Latin America. And that is from Dr. Henry Louis Gates from Harvard University. We're going to show it, and then we're going to have some guest speakers and honor either current students or alums to kind of create a talk show where that, they can kind of give their perspectives on the film and how they feel about how each of those documentary series is being portrayed. Within 2 weeks, we are putting together what we call is our Brotherhood Sisterhood Leadership Conference. And this is the second year being launched. And so the first year, we had about 100 people. And then the second year, this year, we're aiming for 200. We have double the amount of presenters, but the idea is to be able to create a platform for our current students, our current faculty, our current community members to be able to, and industry and corporate members, to lead workshops that are pertinent to students who are first gen and Alana BIPOC. And so normally conferences are very expensive to attend. And so creating that platform here at Worcester State and giving students from the community, future students of Worcester State and current students of Worcester State, the opportunity to access this knowledge is half the battle. So it is Saturday, March 4th, and it'll be from 9 to 3. We have keynote speakers. Superintendent of the Worcester Public Schools will be there. And in addition to that, we have a wonderful presentation by Thrill and No Thrill, which is a consultancy group that is about empowerment of our youth.
That's incredible. Yeah. Awesome. Now, where can students on campus here, how can they get, let's say if they wanted to learn more about attending this leadership conference, or let's say if they wanted to learn about any other events you guys have going on, how would they be able to reach out to you guys? Where would they go for that?
Absolutely. So I would say visit us on the website to learn about the cadre of services that we have. We have some exciting things coming up for this summer for the AID program that will potentially help many of our students be able to graduate early, but also hit some of their graduation requirements on the academic sense of self. And so I would visit www.worcester.edu/OMA, or visit us in the library on the first floor, L136, or call us, 508-929-8049. Yeah.
Awesome, thank you. Now, backtracking a bit here. So at Worcester State University, what does it mean to be a multicultural university? What would you say for that?
It's a great question. And so I think being a multicultural and diverse university is being able to create a sense of belonging for every aspect of our students. And when I say multicultural, I mean ethnically, I mean economically, I mean first gen. It's being able to take our students who they are and accept them by making sure that there are programs that are available to them to support their networking and their academic success here. Absolutely. And we sit right now, Worcester State sits in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, so in the center of it. And our diversity within the city, having over 20 different ethnic diversities represented, and then also having that here at Worcester State is so important, because diversity is not only great for diverse individuals, but it's great for a university like Worcester State that is trying to expand itself beyond the city of Worcester into global areas.
Absolutely, yeah. Now, in general, how can both students and also residents of the Worcester community, how can they maybe improve in their day-to-day life to be more inclusive in these diverse communities? What would you say for that?
That's a great question. You're hitting me all at once. So one, I would say, take a look at your boards. Take a look at how you develop programs. And so when you're looking all the way from grassroots initiatives and program development all the way to leadership and administration. And so you want to make sure that the diverse voices have a seat at the table. Now, there is diversity within diversity. And so instead of being able to kind of say, yes, like a census type of checkbox, Latinos, Black, Asian, women, men, I think that we probably need to be more intensive about the way that we look at having representation on our boards, because there's these invisible identities like low income, like students, that need to be present so that it can keep each one of those membership grounded and intentional. So I would say the intercultural communication and exchange is important, and almost more important than the outcome, because it's the process by which you will use to get to that outcome.
Absolutely, yeah. Thank you so much for that.
Yeah.
Now we'll wrap it up with this one more question here, because I know you mentioned that the Office of Multicultural Affairs is celebrating its 50th anniversary, which is amazing.
Yeah.
Now, aside from the many programs you guys have planned, including the ones today and the one for the Leadership Conference, what does the future have in store for the office here? What's to come?
Oh my gosh, so much, and I'm so excited about all of the different avenues that we can explore. Well, first and foremost, it's about continuing the support and love and family, sense of family and belonging that we have at Worcester State through the Office of Multicultural Affairs, continuing that support and keeping it steady. I think then to be innovative in looking at the dimensions of our students. I think many of our students have a need to be able to travel. And to be able to look at expanding beyond the boundaries of their home, where they grew up. And I think about a couple of years ago, we brought a group of students to Cuba. And so this was an opportunity through the Dr. Martin Luther King Community Empowerment Center in Cuba that we were able to bring students to learn more about the culture, about the medical facilities, and just to be able to connect the majors, the students in different backgrounds, academic backgrounds were coming with to that experience. And I think looking ahead, that's something that we want to do. We want to bring Worcester State to that boundary and beyond.
Absolutely awesome. Laxmi, you've been amazing. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for having me. I
Of course.
appreciate it.
And that is it for today's episode of The Beat. Thank you so much for tuning in.